Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. This is YouTube Live. We are doing YouTube Live of Python programming session. Let me speak more about this in just a moment. Once again, warm welcome to the session. And we have started this Tame the Python session. That is how we have named it, Tame Your Python, to ensure that we deliver Python programming sessions for wider audience. And we ensure that this specific training is aligned with BTech in data science and AI. So according to, or maybe not according to, I should refrain from using that, AICTE, All India Council of Technical Education, has launched BTech programs in data science and AI. And we have gone through the curriculum of AICTE, and we thought that we need to come up with a program which is completely aligned end-to-end with BTech in data science and AI. And we found that there are multiple semesters, obviously, and in semester one, in the first semester, there was this Python programming subject, which is taught to the students. And I also believe that there is some dearth in the quality of the training which is delivered by the various professors, lecturers, etc., on the various modules or subjects pertaining to BTech in data science and AI. And we want to plug that gap. We want to fix that gap. And in the due course of fixing that gap, we thought we will conduct this specific training. We thought of doing this specific training in which we are going to train you right from scratch, right from very basics, right from installation part onwards, Python programming. And it is completely aligned with the entire curriculum which is given by AICTE. And thereon, every month, we will be doing YouTube Live on one subject of each semester. And slowly we will complete semester one, and we will be giving semester one all the recorded videos, everything for free to the students. This training will be for approximately 20 hours, and it will be daily for 1 hour, same time. And we intend to conduct this from Monday to Friday. And Saturdays and Sundays, it's your off time to practice. Having said this, I would also quickly like to introduce myself, because you should at least know who I am. So let me go to my LinkedIn profile. This is me, friends. My name is Bharani Kumar Depuru. And let me click on this. I happen to be Industrial Revolution 4.0 implementer. I'm a very passionate, technologist. I love technology as much as I love business. I'm a chief data scientist and technology advisor on 4 different companies. I hold a master's degree from IIT Hyderabad, and I also hold a master's degree from Indian School of Business. Yeah. I'm alumnus of both of these places. And I work with companies such as HSBC. I work with Deloitte. I work with Infosys, so on and so forth. You'll find a bunch of those profiles, and the details of my experience available here. Having said that, I have approximately 27,000 odd connections. I request you all to feel free to connect with me, and I will also share my LinkedIn profile here. And you all can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, but do subscribe to our YouTube channel on which we are doing these sessions live. So we will get started with the BTech course, but let me first get here and explain you about a few basic thumb rules. This Python programming or any programming language for that case, if you want to learn, you need to practice. That's the number one solution for that. But then this is similar to swimming. If you want to swim, if you decided to watch YouTube videos on how to swim, and then if you say read a lot of books on how to swim, best books to swim, best video to learn swimming. In that way, when you use keywords and search and watch all the videos, read all the books, and then if you jump into the swimming pool, what do you think will happen? If you jump into water, you'll drown, right? You might die. That might turn out to be a career-ending move, right? Hence, you need to get into water and then practice to learn swimming. Learning any programming language, Python is no different. Learning any programming language is the same. You need to practice. You need to type each line of code. Only then will you learn. So what we shall do is, we shall get started right from basics. We will look at the introduction to Python. That means how did it all start, etc. Then we are going to install certain softwares. I'm going to help you all install Python and install a few IDEs, integrated development environments. I'm going to talk about the differences between these. And then we will get into writing the lines of code. So what are we waiting for? Let us get started. Here is a brief history of Python. Okay. Python was introduced to the world way back in 1991. That is when a lot of people came to know about this, because that is when it was made open source and it was formally and officially released to the world. And before that, in 1989, at National Research Institute in Netherlands, they started off this idea of coming up with a programming language, which is very easy to learn, so on and so forth. And the person who is considered to be the founding father of Python is Guido van Rossum. He's still alive, and this is a guy. Okay, amazing guy, and then he introduced Python to us. And why did they name it as Python in the first place? Very, interesting background exists here, and that is Monty Python's Flying Circus. This is a comedy series which was created and it was launched in the world to the world and on IMDb, Internet Movie Database. It has a rating of 8.1 out of 10. Like your Triple R, Bahubali, etc. This series also has very good rating. It's a two-part mini series, okay, created by the Pythons for the German market. For Germany, it was initially launched in German language. You guys might want to watch that with English subtitles, right? And it's a very old series, basically. It was launched in BBC, right? It is a British, sketch comedy series, and it was started in 1969 and it lasted until 1974. It has total 4 series, 45 episodes. Feel free to watch that. It's a comedy series, right? From this, they have taken the word Python, and that is how it is named as Python. And what is Python? Basically, it is a programming language. You write lines of code. But then Python has taken a lot of inputs from a lot of different other programming languages, like you have C, you have C++, you have Perl, shell scripting, etc. All of these combining, we have something called as Python. So the best practices, the functional programming features of C, the object-oriented programming features of C++, scripting language features of Perl and script, modular programming features of Modular 3, all those were combined, and that is what has given rise to something called as Python. This programming language called Python is open source. What do we mean by open source? Open source means it is free for usage. You can download and install the software for free. Okay, and both individuals like you and me can download and use it for free. We need not pay anyone. There is no cost. And even if companies, enterprises want to use it for commercial purpose, if they want to use Python programming to do projects for various customers, and if they charge money from those customers, still they can use. So for enterprises, be it not-for-profit enterprises or for-profit enterprises, whatever companies exist, they can use Python for free. Okay, that is the meaning of open source. Now let's do one thing. Let us get to this and let us download. You just need to open any of your web browsers. I've opened Google Chrome. You open anything, Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox or Safari, whatever you feel is apt. And then just type download Python. Okay, and then enter. The moment you type download Python, you'd see the first link. Click on that, python.org. That's the official website for Python. Click on that. And here, the moment you open, you see an option to download Python. So here you have this option. Okay, here you have the option to just download Python. And the good part is Python is operating system agnostic. That means it does not depend on whether you're using Windows operating system or Linux operating system or Macintosh, Apple, right, operating system. It doesn't depend on any of those. Whichever operating system you're using, you're free to download Python and install it. Because that's the best part. So it doesn't depend on any operating system for that. And the latest version as we speak now is 3.10.5. So I'll just click on this download. The moment you do that, a .exe file gets installed because I'm using Windows. If you're using Linux and install, some other file gets installed. If you use Macintosh, some other file gets installed. The installation executable file gets installed. Click on that. And then since I already have the software installed, it is giving me all these options. Okay. Otherwise, it would not give you any of these options, right? Just say next, 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 and job done. What do I do now? So let me say modify, next, install, right? And it's done. For you all, when you install it for the first time, you will see those options next, 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 next. That's it. Don't change anything. Don't change any option. Just click on next, jump down. And then go to Windows Start here. Or if you're using Mac, there's a different way to open that. So just type Python. You'll see the latest version here. Python 3.10. I'll click on that. This is how the look and feel and the interface of Python looks like. Here you can type your functions. So if I type 1 plus 1 and click on enter, it says that 2 is the result. Obviously, what else can you expect, right? 1 plus 1 would be 2. So start using Python as a calculator. To get started, please start using Python as a calculator. If you type 8 multiplied by 3, result is 24. I can also type it in this way, 1 plus 1. So what you observe here, operators and operand, I have separated them using space. Here I did not do that. But yet, if I run, it will say that answer is 2. Okay. But this is in line with the best practice. This is not in line with the best practice. It's not, I'm not saying this is wrong, but I'm saying this is not in line with the best practice. So when we are going to write code, I'm going to also explain you about certain best practices, because what happens is when you apply for open positions, when you apply for job openings, for example, for Python programmer, initial rounds would be verbal. They'll ask you questions, you answer, job done. If you clear that round, usually they assign you a task and they will ask you to write the code. When you write the code, they will also check whether you're following the best practices or not. And following the best practice is very, very important. You need to follow the best practice. All right. This is how the look and feel is, right? I do not personally like this look and feel for various reasons. I'll speak about those things later. So let me minimize it. I'll not close it. Let me minimize it because I want to show you the difference between this and the other graphical user interfaces. So this black blunt screen that you're seeing here is called as the GUI. That's how you pronounce it, GUI, or graphical user interface. This is the interface with which I as a user will interact. Hence it's called as graphical user interface. I as a user am interfacing this. So the graphical user interface of core Python, I mean, the Python software that we downloaded is not great. It's just blunt, black, just type the code, job done. Not many people like this. Hence, what we will do is I'll just minimize this. And there is also another software called as Anaconda. Download Anaconda. Okay, I just went to another Google search bar. I searched download Anaconda. And you just click on this first link, Anaconda distribution, opens up. While Python is open source, meaning I, you, everyone who wants to write new lines of code can do so and share it with Python core committee. It will be there on the website. They look at your code, your program, and if they feel that it is very new, it is unique, the code that you have written, then they're going to include that in the Python software. And they'll also mention your name that this person has contributed to the Python programming development. That's how it is. So there is no single owner for Python. Founder is different. Founder is Guido van Rossum, but there is no single organization which is taking care of Python. It's open source. Next, we have Anaconda. Anaconda is an organization. It's an organization. What do they do? Typically, they do two things. One is, if you have Python, if you downloaded, say, Code Python, in order to do some analytics or analysis on the data, that is, if you want to do data analytics work, or if you want to build your machine learning algorithms, or if you want to build some web applications or some kind of web interfaces using Python, you need to install libraries. For example, you have a library called as NumPy. You have a library called as Pandas. You have a library called as Matplotlib, so on and so forth. We'll talk about a few of these libraries later, friends. For now, there are a bunch of libraries. What is a library? Library, if I in a generic manner say library, you know for a fact that it is collection of books. And some author would have written the books. You read whatever author has written and we try to reuse that. We try to reuse the concepts. You try to reuse the concepts. And library within Python or within any programming language, if you hear the word library, it is nothing but collection of code. Lines of code, which some programmer would have written. Some programmer would have written this code. And then what are we going to do as Python programmers? We are going to reuse the programs or reuse the code. There are two sections of people. One section of people who are core programmers. Their job is to write new lines of code, contribute to the open source community of Python, so on and so forth. That proportion of people who do this, that is, write their own lines of code, come up with new lines of code, contribute to the open source community, that proportion is very small. And a larger portion of people are people like you and me, I'm assuming, who will reuse the code, okay, who want to solve the business problems by reusing the lines of code. Okay. So in order to reuse the lines of code, you need to install the libraries. You need to install the various libraries. When you download this Python, which is this, when you go to Python website and download Python, what happens is you need to manually install the libraries. Okay, so there is some manual effort. Manually, you need to install the libraries. Point number one. Point number two is, for a specific Python version, like here, the latest version is 3.10.5. Sometimes what happens is, when you install a library, it will give you an error. It will say that this version of library is incompatible with this version of Python. Whatever version of Pandas you're trying to install is incompatible with this version of Python. Or maybe it might also say that this version of matplotlib is incompatible with this version of pandas. When that incompatibility errors come in, you need to fix it on your own. You do Google search that I'm getting this error, I'm getting that error, and you invest a lot of time and solve the problem, solve the error. But is that a fruitful thing that you're doing? Is that a meaningful thing that you're doing? Not really. If you want to build a web application, you better build web application. Channel your energies onto that. But if you're investing your time in fixing those errors, you're losing out important, valuable time. Okay. So what this company called Anaconda does is, it will take, or it has already taken, the latest version of Python, and it has installed all the important libraries, and it has ensured that all these libraries are compatible with that version of Python. And most of these important libraries, you need not again install. The moment you install Anaconda, Python, along with the, when you download and install Python, along with the important libraries, plus the very good graphical user interfaces are all installed along with this Anaconda. That is the beauty. So why should I manually install Python, manually install all the libraries that I need? And if there are errors, why should I actually sit and fix errors? If my job is something else, my job might be to build a machine learning algorithm or build an AI application. I would rather channel my energies or focus on that aspect. Why should I focus on, fixing installation issues? That's not my core area at all, right? So this company called as Anaconda has come up with something called as distribution. Distribution is a software, they are combining the Python programming language, all the important libraries, and the different graphical user interfaces. They're combining all that, and as a distribution, they're giving it to you for installing. And this is not open source. Anaconda is not open source. But then the good part is, for individuals like you and me, it is free. For people like you and me, it is free. But then if you want to use it for commercial purpose, if you want to do projects, okay, if you want to work on projects, etc., then it is licensed. You need to buy it. It is priced. You need to pay some price. Usually if you're for-profit organizations. If you're using this to work on projects to make some profits, then you need to pay to Anaconda. That's how it is. So for you and me, it is free, but for companies, they need to pay. And here also, when you download this and install, it is operating system agnostic. It does not depend on which operating system you use. Whether you use Windows or whether you use Macintosh, Apple, or Linux, Unix, whatever operating systems you use, it works on that. So simply put, you just click on download, and then it is going to download the software. Here it is 594 MB. You don't try doing it now, it might choke your bandwidth, internet bandwidth. My internet connection is pretty fast, so I'm just doing it now, but you guys better than do it. So once it gets installed, downloaded, click on that. Once again, say next, 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 and then install. For me, already it is installed. So I'll not again install it. Doesn't make sense, right? I'll install them and then I'll open that and talk more about certain things. Let it open up. Yep, done. Okay. Now you can just click on that. It would open a window. Don't make any changes. Click on next, next, install, done. That's it. That is all you need to do. Okay. Once you do that, and when you click on start here, type Anaconda, and you'll find something called as Anaconda Navigator. Please remember that you need to have this circle, the green icon of Anaconda, the green icon that you're seeing here, you need to have that. And then just click on that and it would download. Okay. So, yeah. From tomorrow, I will, or from the next session, probably I'll put the earphones and try to fix this issue of, the additional bass sound that you're experiencing. Sorry for that, but I'm just seated in a room and then I just want this to be a casual session. Okay. And there we go. I'll just say, don't show that. Okay. When you open your Anaconda for the first time, this is how it is going to appear. The look and feel would be the way that you're seeing here. Next. We have a lot of IDEs in this. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment. It is called as Integrated Development Environment because you are developing your application in this by writing the code. Okay. And each IDE has a different graphical user interface. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you the graphical user interface of two very important IDEs. One is called as Spyder, and another is called as, sorry, one second. I know these kind of things happen, but then all good. All right. I'm going to launch this and explain about Spyder, and I'm also going to explain you about something, okay, about Jupyter notebook. Okay. Of course, we have PyCharm and other things, but I'll not get into each and everything. All these are open source in the sense free for us to use. Okay. So here, for the first time when you open, you will see an option called install. Even for Jupyter, you might see the option called install. If you see an option called install, just click on that and install the software. And once you install the software, the install option changes from install to launch. Initially, it'll be like this. When you click on that, here you will see a scroll bar, a blue color scroll bar, and then it will install this particular IDE. It will install Integrated Development Environment. After it installs, it will change automatically this button from install to launch. And once it shows this option called launch, just click on that. Just click on that launch, and it will launch this particular IDE. like, I mean, you won't see this option that just popped up because I have a lot of things going on. That's why it's showing. But otherwise, this is how the screen would be. Now, when I started off my career, uh, the profession that I was pursuing was called as statistical programming. I was working on building prediction models, etc. More to do with data science and machine learning. But back then, the term called data science did not exist. People were calling it as statistical programming. Back then, we had a software called as R programming. Ross Ihaka and Robert Gentleman were the people who had come up with this R program. And then slowly we started using something called as R Studio because the look and feel of R wasn't great. So we resorted to R Studio. R Studio had this kind of a look and feel wherein there was a script window where you write your code. There was this console window where you get to see your results. You have another window where you load your files, you see your plots, graphics, etc., and some help available here. Since I was so fond of RStudio, what I've done is I've come to view. In the menu option, here you will see view. And when you go to Windows layouts, you would see a layout called as RStudio layout. I like this layout, frankly. That is why I use this. But you can use any layout of your choice. By default, it will be Spyder layout. But when you click on RStudio layout, it would change the layout to RStudio. It's up to you on what you like. And then whatever information is given here, you can just select that, delete it, not needed. And then if I type 1 plus 1, okay, 1 plus 1. And if I click on this option here, I click on this link, click on this to run the code, run the line of code. So to run this line of code, you can place your mouse cursor at the end or at the start, or you can select this line like this, or you place your mouse cursor anywhere on that line, doesn't matter. Anywhere on this, you place your cursor, click on this one, and the moment you do that, you see the result here, that it is 2. So within console window, you see the result. Input in is input. Input of line 1 is 1 plus 1, and output of this line 1 is 2. That is what it means. Okay. So if you were to type, say, 8 multiplied by 3, for example, and then if you click on this, it will say that 8 multiplied by 3 is 24. The look and feel is much better in comparison to this. Here you have a separate window or pane, P-A-N-E, pane, where you can write your lines of code. Here in the console, you can see the results. Such bifurcation doesn't exist in Python. The Python from the python.org website that you download. In addition to that, we have something else which is called as Jupyter Lab. Let me go once again to Anaconda Navigator. Here we have Jupyter Notebook. Here also option won't be as launch. First, you will see an option called install. The same install option will be here. Click on install. First install that. And after you install, again here you'll see a window where you'll see a blue scroll. Post that, that install option will change to launch. And then click on launch. Jupyter would open up. Don't worry about the various options that exist. Just look at what I'm trying to do here. Click on New and Python 3, I Python kernel, I Python kernel. Just click on that. You might not see all these various options. Don't worry about that. You might not see all that. Just click on this first option, Python 3. This is the kernel. Okay. Now here you can write your lines of code. 1 plus 1. And here do you see the option called run? When you click on this run, it will show you the output. Or if you type 8 multiplied by 3, if you just click on this run, you will see the output as 24. Now this is on your local computer. You install the software on your computer, you are running here on your computer, the lines of code. There is also something else which is called as Google Colab. Okay. You just go to Google, type Google Colab. You just need to have a Gmail account to be able to use Google Colab. Google Colab obviously is from Google. You just click on that Google Colab. And then such a screen appears. Click on New Notebook. The moment you click on New Notebook, it will show you an interface which is very similar to the Jupyter interface. Very similar to Jupyter interface. Here you can give a name. Probably I can say day 1, tech, aligned, Python programming. This Python programming is there in semester 1 of BTech in Data Science and Anaconda. And it's very elaborate. So that is why we thought, since it's very elaborate, it's going to help everyone. It will help the data science community. It will help the web development community, and whoever are Python programming, aspirants, it's going to help them. So here, there are a couple of things that you need to understand. One is when you click on runtime and click on this change runtime type, when you click on this, you would see an option called hardware accelerator. I'm using the paid version, friends, the pro version. But for you all on the free version also, you will see these two options, GPUs and TPUs. Typically, we'll have something called as CPUs, computing processing units. Then we also have GPUs, graphical processing units. And then we have TPUs, tensor processing units. While CPUs are okay for regular activities, when you want to build artificial intelligence applications, which are nowadays usually built using something called as deep learning algorithms, which are machine learning algorithms, you need GPUs, graphical processing units. When you use Google Colab, you can use this for free. And tensor processing units, these are also very good and very fast. When you run the code, very quickly it will complete the task. And these are also used when you run deep learning algorithms. And that is why I usually recommend this. Even if you have a basic computer with 4 GB RAM, don't worry, as long as you have good internet connection, open Google Colab, start writing your code here. You need not invest on high configuration machines or costly systems. That's one option that I wanted to show you. For sure, it's going to help you immensely. But otherwise, don't worry about that. If you don't want to make any changes, okay. Just click on connect here. Do you see the option called connect? Click on that. The moment you click on connect, Google will allocate some computer, some server, which is available with Google to you for free. And you can start using that. And here you can write your lines of code. When you say 1 plus 1, I will zoom it a bit. And do you see this small run icon? When you click on that, you see the result. If you want to add another line of code, you just click on this plus sign here, code. It shows you another screen. Here type 8 multiplied by 3. Click on run. And it says the result is 24. Okay. And what we will do for our programming is, we will use Google Colab. Okay. Sometimes I might go back to Spyder, show you how Spyder is beneficial for early learners, early beginners. Then I'll come back to Google Colab only. And on Google Colab only we'll have. And if you know Google Colab and how to run the code here, Python code, then it is as good as saying that you are aware of Jupyter. Both are same. Okay. Now I'll go to the actual code that we need to execute. These are all shortcuts for Jupyter Notebook. I would rather leave these for you to read it and explore. Control C for copy, Control V to paste. And majorly all these are very trivial things, very basic things. Now let me first go to variable declaration. So in this Google Colab, you also have something called as text. When you type on text, you can write all your notes also here. Hello and welcome to the session 1. Okay, this text has appeared. So this text will keep coming up. So if someone asks me, what is the difference between Spyder and Jupyter and Google Colab? All I would say is, what is the difference between Uber and Ola? Right. Both Uber and Ola, if you want to book Uber cab or Ola cab, how does it matter? Both of those will take you to a common destination. Right? On similar lines, either you use Spyder or you use Jupyter or you use Google Colab, doesn't matter. All you're doing on these is writing your lines of code. That's it. Why are we making use of these? Why not the actual Python? Because the look and feel, the graphical user interface is not that great. Okay, this I keep giving this example, funny example, saying that this is like bride and groom before they are married. Before you're married, what would you do? You'll be very casual. But on your marriage day, you go to beauty parlor. Yeah, you apply a lot of nice cream so that you appear bright. Okay, you do all that makeup. Your Google Colab is like bride and groom on the day of marriage. On the day of marriage, bride or groom will wear nice dress. They do a lot of makeup, etc. This is similar to that. The look and feel is good. That's it. Apart from that, either you use this interface, or you use Spyder interface, or you use Jupyter interface, or you use Google Colab interface. It doesn't matter. Everything does the same thing. There is no difference. Of course, there will be subtle small differences, but majorly no. At least when it comes to learning Python programming, no, there is no difference. The first thing that we are going to learn today is variable declaration. There is something called as variable. Okay. And there are certain variable assignment rules. which we are going to talk about. Variable names should start with a letter, alphabet, some alphabet. I'll zoom it even further so that it's easier for you to see what I'm trying to do. Next, variables should contain only alphanumerics, alphabets or numbers. Okay. And it should start with an alphabet only. It should not contain any other symbol except for underscore. Only underscore is allowed. Like if you have ka underscore ZS or something on those lines, only underscore is allowed. It should not start with a number. You cannot say that one ka, this is my variable name. No, the number one is not allowed because variable name should start with what? A letter. Ka one is allowed. But one ka is not allowed because it should not start with a number. Should not have space in between. You cannot say ka underscore ZS or some name. Should not have space. If you have space, you better use an underscore to combine those two. Then should not use any special symbols like double quotes, less than sign, greater than sign, simple space, comma, exclamation mark, question mark, a pipe delimiter. This is called as pipe delimiter. This is exclamation mark, @ hash, percentage, dollar, ampersand, star, tilde, plus. None of these should be used as your variable names. And it should not contain predefined keywords. We'll talk about that. It should not contain any predefined keywords. Okay. So what are those predefined keywords, etc.? We'll get there slowly. There's no hurry. Okay. And we need to consider best practice, and the best practice is to use lowercase names. Yeah. This is not a best case. Okay. Best case scenario is this. There is nothing wrong in this. It will not throw any error, but it is not in line with the best practice. This is in line with the best practice. Okay. Who defined all these things? Who are instructing you to do all these things? Obviously, the person who has come up with Python programming language. So they have come up with Python programming language. Who? Guido van Rossum. Okay. This guy has come up with the Python programming language. So if you have any such questions, right, I would say do one thing. Let me open this. Here it is. Yeah, here. This was designed by Guido van Rossum. And if you have any questions such as, why did you devise all these kind of rules? Okay. Why shouldn't I have a space in between the variable name? Why should the variable name not start with a number? If you have any such questions, who is the right person to ask? The person who designed Python programming language, Guido van Rossum, not me certainly, right? Whatever rules he has defined, because it is his product, his baby. So he has defined certain rules we need to follow. If you want to ask, you ask him. Okay. Now, here is the first line of code. I type this car equal to 10. And when you click on run, done. So that means this number 10 is now assigned to a variable called car. You have a number 10 which is assigned to a variable called car. This is called as a variable. When you say now print whatever is there in this variable, print of car, and if I were to run this, it says that 10 is the output, meaning 10 is now part of this variable called car. And within 0 seconds, this was executed. Now, if I run this car space 2s, it will obviously throw me an error, number one. Why is it throwing an error? Because it's saying that it should not have space in between. What should not have space? Variable names should not have space in between. But you have given a space and then you ran it, so it threw an error. If you don't want any error, remove that space and then run it. You have done. Now 20 is assigned to this. If you want to see what is there in this car 2s, can I see it now? Yes. So what you do is you just hover your mouse here and it will show you this code and text. Click on that. Now if you type print car 2s, when you run it, it will say that 20 is part of this variable called car 2s. Now, if I say car dollar equal to 5 and run it, so it threw an error once again. Why? Already we discussed that your variable names should not contain special characters. Do you see $sign somewhere here? Yes. Oh, so $sign should not be used. Yes. If you use $sign, it will throw an error. It is also showing you this caret sign, which is saying that here is where there is an issue. There is syntax error. Syntax means the format that you write the code in, right? There is an error. That is what it says. The next thing is, you need not just assign numbers to the variable. You can also assign string or alphabets or words to your variable. But then whenever you're using non-numeric values, put them in single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. Right? We'll get to that slowly. Yeah. For now, single quotes and whatever you want to mention in that mention and assign it to the variable. Once you do that, either you run print new car in the next line of code, like what we have done here. We first assign this number 20 to the variable and then we are printing to see what is there in that variable in 2 lines of code, or you put them in a single line of code or a single block. Okay, in the single cell, you can type multiple lines of code. And then when you run it, what happens is first it will execute the first line. It will assign this car to this variable called new car. Then when you print what is there in this new car, it says car. Now here we assign car equal to 10. If I say car equal to say 12, okay, and if I were to run it, car equal to 12. If I run print of car, it will still show me 10. It is not going to consider CAR lowercase, CAR uppercase as the same variable names. It will treat them as different variable names. That means Python is case sensitive. Well, if you write in lowercase, that is a different variable. If you write it in uppercase, that's a different variable. Okay, if I were to go here and if I now say print of car, I'm taking uppercase. Now it will show me 12 as answer because 12 was assigned to this. So Python is also case sensitive. All right. So strictly we thought we will have it, we'll have the session for an hour every day. So I'll restrict to 1 hour only. Friends, in order to learn Python programming or any programming language, you need to practice. Look at the video, look at these lines of code, you type it on your own, right? Please type it on your own, only then you learn. Okay. And second thing is, we have on our YouTube channel posted interview questions pertaining to Python. I request you all to click on that particular, LinkedIn link that we are going to share on the YouTube channel. Click on that and answer your questions. So that way you'll also start practicing. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and please ensure that you click on the link of LinkedIn where we have questions of Python which are posted, and please answer those. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. Please do subscribe to our channel. There are 19 more sessions, 19 more hours of training pending. We will ensure that slowly and steadily we will learn to the fullest. Thank you so much and have a great day, friends.